This PSA was brought to you by the Peter G Show.
You may have second thoughts after this show.
Don't drink the faucet. We're really talented. We should get Oscars.
Just pick out a car, for Christ's sake.
No, my name is Peter. I want. Here's good.
Yeah.
Madam Perry.
I need to get back in the genie bottle.
Louis from Pennsylvania, you're on. He likes it. It's showtime.
PeterGShow, divorced dad, single dad, divorced dad, single dad, PeterGShow.
Woo! That's right, it's showtime. And I mean right up to the very minute. Last minute. Still going. How the hell is everybody? It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. Life of Peter G, the Peter G Show, every Wednesday, like clockwork, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. on the East Coast, God willing. And damn if I'm not showing up like clockwork. So, thank God. How is everybody? Hope you're doing well. Summer. Can you dig it? I love it. I don't care if it's hot. I do. Go find an ocean to jump into or a pool. Make it happen. Make it happen. I don't like shoveling snow. I did it when I was a kid. That gets old. Kind of like cutting the grass. You know? You can't wait to get old enough and I want to push them over, and then you start pushing and going, shit, this isn't fun. Silly me. Not fun. I know fun. Pushing the lawnmower, not so much fun. It's a necessity now. Got to do it. Anyway, hope everybody's doing well because we're living in tough times and it's a bitch. But if we're here and you're watching, please share. Please. Subscribe. YouTube. Gonna beat these guys at their own game until they finally take me down. If they ever take me down, I kind of toe that line right at the edge there where they threaten me and then they kind of just back off. But then again, we kind of find this happy medium. And life goes on. But please share. That's what it's all about, sharing. You know, you can't love me or hate me if you don't know I exist. And there's a lot of people out there that don't know I exist, and we're taking them, you know, one little bunch at a time. And that's how it works. Just keep going. Even when you don't feel like it. Anyway, we got a great show tonight. How do I put this? It's Pride Month. Now, you're not going to catch me doing a whole lot for Pride Month because I believe there's all kinds of pride and a lot of things that deserve a lot of attention and stuff like that. But Pride Month kind of has me in a bit of a tizzy. Okay, you know, I get the struggle and all that kind of stuff, but there's a lot of struggles in the world, a lot of struggles in life. And so I have issues with dedicating a month, what you want to dedicate a month to in honor of, you know. So again, I'm not here nor there with it. I don't care. I accept it. You know, it's good, but you're not going to see me going crazy about it. However, timing is everything. A couple of months ago, I had my favorite lesbian on the show, Carol, because I like her. I mean, she to me, she was like she's the old school. She's the goat of lesbians. You know, she's a lesbian. She just wants to be a lesbian and let me live. So I put her on the show because I like that attitude. You know, she doesn't want any special attention. She doesn't want any special privilege. She wants to live like a normal human being. So I had her on the show finally, you know, and I enjoyed talking to her because some people, believe it or not, do not understand how it works or why it works or aren't that accepting. And you need to be, because we're all just human beings, no matter what. You know, at the end of the day, I think the key is, you know, if you're not hurting anybody, and you're just being a productive human being, it's like there's no harm, no foul. However, again, some people are still living in the Stone Age, and it's kind of difficult. So I brought her on the show to talk about it. Well, after that, I don't know. I can't pay attention to all this stuff because there's a lot of comments, this and that. But somebody found me and went on 2/3 of my platforms, if not more, and left me messages consecutively, repeatedly, left me messages. I want to be on your show. It's like, okay. Why do you want to be on my show? And look, I know what it's like to try to get started in any kind of business. It's like the catch-22. How do you get experience? How do you catch a break if nobody will give you a break? I'm living proof. I've been like that my whole life being in the music business. It's like, how do you get there if you can't get the chance to be there and to prove yourself? So I talked to this girl, and I said, sure, come on my show. You got to start somewhere. So that being said, in long form, tonight on my show, I have Vikki she's, in my opinion, she's an LGBT reality podcaster. She's a newbie to the podcasting. She starting out, and she did what I would do. She, dogged me until I answered her in a good way. I mean, she didn't really dog me, but I mean, it was, she put out a lot of messages to where I ended up seeing it, and I got my curiosity because I can relate. She's got her own podcast called Voices with Vikki. Voice with Vikki, and she's going to be on the show, and she's a married, younger generation lesbian. And we're going to talk gay talk, or gay relationship talk, or the pros and cons of being gay, or what's stupid about some of these people that demand attention, and what's not, and what really works, and how many letters are they going to add to the LGBT and QMOUSE? And again, we're talking about all that stuff because we can. Because she's going to be on my show, and it's going to be her perspective. I'll do the questions. She'll give me her take on it. Again, younger generation than when Carol was on, but still has the same like-minded idea. Live and let live. Can't we all just get along? Well, she's going to be on the show in a few minutes. And I'm going to give her, this is her big break. It's okay. Anyway, so it's all good. But that's what's coming up in a few minutes, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. Again, I can't tell you enough how important it is that you don't just watch 2 minutes of my show. You watch, a good portion of it. I know time is hard. People are busy, but you're never going to understand the way this show works if you just watch 2 minutes and then go, forget him. There's a flow. We bring things on. So it's an hour-plus show. It's, you can't just dump everything in 5 minutes. There'd be no show left. But that's the way it works around here. And most of the time we have pretty much a good time and get some good informative information for certain topics, whatever the show may be. Last week I was bitching about stuff, current events. I'll be doing that soon too. Again, it's gonna be a lot of that. I'm gonna start opening up the phone lines and see if anybody will bite, whether you're pro or con for what I do or want to give your 2 cents. I'm gonna start doing that soon. We'll give that a shot. Sometimes I get frustrated. Nobody wants to call. You're all scared. And I just say, forget it. I'll just bring up topics that you can react to after the show is over or comment during the live, but either way. So coming up in a few minutes, Vikki from the podcast Voices with Vikki. Speaking of next week, that's what I am going to do. It's I'm going to be raising hell again about life and what's going on, the current events that are going on, because there's a lot of people, though some of you may know everything, there's a lot of people that don't really know much of anything. I'll never forget, I had this girl that I had on my show last fall, and after we got off the show, we started talking about something, and I said, yeah, Trump and this and that. She looked at me, and she looked at me because we were still on screen, and she said, what's he doing? Is he still running for president? And it's like, okay, love him or hate him, you can't get away from that information. But that just goes to show you how sometimes people have their blinders on. She's off doing her life, pays no attention to anything. And it's like, well, yeah, he never really stopped saying I'm running again, whether you like it or not. I'm just bringing up the fact that people don't pay attention. So I'm here to bring things to people's attention. Should I be able to get your attention? Love me or hate me. I don't care if you call me names. Just watch. All right? I can take it. Big boy, thick skin. Half the time you're full of shit anyway. So it's all good. I'm not saying I know everything. I don't. I just bring out information. I pass it on. I'm just a liaison. That's why I'm a show host. I never said life expert. Although I have gotten my ass kicked enough to where I do have a good bit of experience. So sometimes you should listen and actually make a whole lot of sense. Don't forget, again, subscribe. And again, I thank the ones who watch. But I know there's a lot of you that don't have the time. And you're in the car driving. A lot of people commute in the LA areas and stuff. You can be in your car for 2 hours a day, each way, going and coming from work. So put an earbud in your ear, just like this one, or turn up the speakers in your car. Google Peter G Show podcast. It's an audio version. You can listen to the show while you're on the road, while you're working. Put an earbud in your ear. We all know that work is boring. Okay, we know that. So listen. There's so many different shows and show topics. I really have learned that people really pay attention when they know that it's a topic that they can relate to. So it's important, okay? There's so many to choose from. You can listen to them on demand. A lot of people like to watch live, but please remember, you can find this. It's on all the different major platforms, your YouTubes, your LinkedIn's, your Facebooks, again, Rumbles, BitChute. And then when it comes to audio, 26 different platforms, Spotify, Amazon Music. I'm telling you all these things because, believe it or not, I run into people all the time that are tapping and writing me. They go, "How do I find your show?" It's like, are you freaking kidding me? I don't mean to get upset, but it's like, Google it. Come on. Let your fingers do the walking. I'm easy to find. Peter G Show. Type it in. Peter G Show. If you want audio, Peter G Show podcast. Just audio. I like when you watch the show. Sometimes there's some stuff worth looking at. Not necessarily me, but sometimes there's some videos and stuff. All right. Real quick, 2 things I want to talk about real fast, and then we're going to bring Vikki on. Last Sunday, hang on. Woo! Smooth. Last Sunday, Father's Day. I talked about it last Wednesday, wishing everybody a pre-happy Father's Day. But, comes Father's Day, Mother's Day, all these kind of occasions. Man, oh, man. I mean, I got to tell you, I follow Facebook a lot because Facebook is the place where people tell you what they ate. Facebook is the place where people say prayers for my mother. She's having surgery. Prayers for, so-and-so, or somebody passed away. They're showing you what food they're eating, delicious, that kind of stuff. And I follow. I watch because I try to do things that people want to hear and see. And man, it gets me every time. I mean, Father's Day, so many beautiful tributes to both fathers here and fathers that are gone. And I mean, it kills me because, you get so many that are like, happy Father's Day to my father in heaven who's been gone for, 14 years. First year without my dad. This goes for mothers too, okay? But we're talking about Father's Day. It just eats me up because I was fairly lucky. I had a reasonably normal upbringing. It had its ups and downs. Don't get me wrong. I think every family does, but I know not every family has that opportunity. Some people don't get that opportunity, and it's like, oh, my dad was never there, or my dad used to beat me. I mean, and this stuff happens. That's why we talk about this stuff on this show. But in general, I think it's beautiful that, like, best dad ever. It's like everybody who still has that love talks of, that's your father, it's your mother. It's like, I had the best mom. I mean, you as a father, me being a father, I go out of my way. I stop dead in my tracks when my daughter's around me. She doesn't ask for it. I just can't help it. I just adore her. And she's been a good kid, which is now 18. But I mean, she's developing into a decent human being. And it makes me crazy. I'm just crazy about her. I feel like my mother when I'm fussing over food or things like that. And I just want to say that, like, again, Father's Day and Mother's Day is every day, if you're lucky enough to have that relationship, because one day they are gone. And I'll tell you, I was real lucky. I got to be a pretty good aged adult before both my parents passed away, only within the past 10 years. But when it's over, it's over. and you can't take it back. And even though you may have great relationships, I did the best I could as they were aging out, and it was difficult at times. I wanted to rip my hair out, but you always have those regrets. No matter how, people say, man, you did a great job. What are you talking about? It's like, but in your head, you're like, I wish I could have done more. I think that goes with anything, raising your children, family, relationships, all that stuff. So all I'm saying is, belated happy Father's Day. It was great seeing all that stuff. Again, don't beat yourself up if you don't have the perfect relationship. Just do the best you can. It's all you can do, but we're only on this earth for a very short time. Make it count, okay? If you have a bad relationship, take that experience and make it to where that will never happen again. Be better. There's a reason for everything, okay? If you just keep falling victim to everything, I don't know what to tell you. Make it count. We're all here for a reason. And everything happens for a reason. I'm a firm believer in that. And next, one little housekeeping. Last week, I talked about Dr. Phil, on how he has left the Hollywood scene, gone to Texas, built his own little empire in studios, Merritt Street Media, and he's doing his own shows. He's producing other people's shows like Mike Rowe from Dirty Jobs and things like that has come on. And I said, I like the fact that he said, screw you, Hollywood, because Hollywood's made life a lot more difficult for a lot of people. They're cutting out all these people that are here to work, and they don't care about them. And he's kind of started talking practical sense about the old shot of Rooney in the arm and things like that. And I said, well, I always thought he was under Oprah's wing, and I just believe that he's so strong now, and he finally has seen the light to say, screw this stuff. And I don't care when you arrive, so long as you finally get there. Some people never will. And I started talking about Dr. Phil. I said, he's got his own media thing. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, so far what I'm seeing, I wouldn't mind being part of that whole deal with, because he's doing real life, no baloney stuff. He's saying, screw you, Hollywood, screw the facade. And all of a sudden I'm getting all these comments. I don't trust Dr. Phil. And Dr. Phil is part of the evil plan. It's like, okay, we'll find out. But don't shoot the messenger. I was just merely saying that, I give him credit. He's kind of coming out and talking about all these things, the corruption in our capital and politics. And he's speaking out because he can. Every time I speak out, they cancel me. He's too big. They're not going to cancel him. Or he's got his own platform. So I give him credit for doing that. Well, whether he's phony or whether he's a witch or whether he's, we'll find out. But I'm going to give him a pass for now, and I'm going to watch him. That's the whole thing. You people got to watch people. Played that stuff about, with Biden lying for 40 years, tape don't lie, showing him 30 years ago, 10 years ago, saying all this bullshit, and you're still going to say he's an eloquent man. Watch what's going to happen in the next few weeks. There's a debate tomorrow, too, by the way. And I'm saying, I don't care. I just watch a lot of things. I don't care if you hate the orange man. I just know that there's a lot of corrupt things going on, and I'll talk about them, and then you decide. I'm just bringing it out there, okay? Oh, wow. Okay, I got to get moving. Just putting it out there. Believe me, stay tuned next week. We're going to get into it, especially since they're going to have that debate tomorrow. I guarantee you everybody will be watching. So take notes. Pay attention. All right, so here's what's going to happen. We are going to bring on Vikki from Voices with Vikki, newbie to the podcasting world. Again, in my opinion, just an LGBT reality podcaster who wants to talk about things that go on in her world and which a lot of people can associate with. We are going to talk to her in just a couple of minutes, right after we hear from my good friends over at Clean Star Products with their DX1 driver money-saving fuel additive. So we'll be right back, and then we'll get to the meat and potatoes, all right? So don't go anywhere.
Hello, I'm Tyrone Thompson of CleanStarProducts.com. This is DX1 Driver in the News, and here's what our friends have to say.
So I'm here to recap on the DX1 I've used. I put it in the oil and I put it in the gas. While I'm using it just for about 3 tanks. Cleaned everything out. I got every ounce of power back in my truck.
When Jared's truck was new, it had a lot of power. Then over time, it began to slow down. He got it all back with our DX1 driver program.
Something you got to see for yourself. It's a great product. It's affordable. And it blows all the other additives and that's just out of the water.
DX1 Driver is the finest oil in the world from a California environmental company. It goes into the fuel system and the oil. It's the only green grade product qualified for the carbon credits program, giving you better fuel mileage, lower emissions, and increased horsepower. So join the fuel savings revolution today. Go to cleanstarproducts.com/shop.
That's right. Clean Star Products with their money-saving fuel additive DX1 Driver. Listen, folks, anybody who knows me knows that I don't really say things I don't believe in. In fact, I don't say things. We just had a big discussion on if the money was right, would you? And the answer is no. I'm just not that way. It's like, screw it. Lived this long, I guess I'll manage. I could always use the money. But one thing I know is DX1 Driver, right here, this little bitty bottle, it works. I'm a user of it myself, and that's what really proved it to me. It made this high mileage F-150 Ford pickup truck that I have run a lot easier. And I am getting better gas mileage. And you put one of these little bottles in your clean oil change, lasts the whole oil change. And every time you fill up your tank, you put one of these in your tank. And that's it. After about 3 or 4 tanks, you're going to start noticing the difference. Here's the thing. I'm sure you'll have questions. Everybody goes, oh, I don't know. Go to cleanstarproducts.com website. There's a phone number right there. Call them. They actually want you to call them. They will answer your questions personally. And then should you decide you want to order, here's what you need to do. Now pay attention, all right? Come here. Tell them you saw it on the Peter G Show, all right? Why? If you tell them you saw it on the Peter G Show, they're going to give you 4 bottles. Oops. No, they're not. That'd be bad. They're going to give you 5 bottles for the price of 4. That's right. 5 bottles for the price of 4 just for telling them that you saw it on the Peter G Show. Hey, a deal's a deal. All right? Do it. Remember, they know what I do and they still sponsor me, so God bless them. And it works. All right. Now for the moment you've been waiting for. Woo! Wait a minute. Got to get juiced up. Oh, they say, Peter, what's in that cup? DX1 Driver. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I give this girl credit, woman credit for persevering and getting to me, because that's what I do with people. And she's going to be right here on the show. I mean, that's how it works. And unless you have managers and agents and all that kind of stuff, and unless you're filthy rich, it don't work like that when you're starting out. So without further ado, she's been sitting anxiously in the wings, and I got lots of questions. Ladies and gentlemen, from the West Coast, LGBT reality podcaster, at least that's how I'm figuring it, Vikki from the Voices with Vikki podcast. And here we go.
Here I am. I've been waiting with bated breath.
That's right. I knew it. I saw you looking at your watch, like, come on already.
Let's go.
Yeah, I know. I just sometimes there's just more. I forget how many things I have to get out of the way first before I can get going, and I had more than I anticipated, but that's okay because we got plenty of time. Oh, anyway, real quick, Donna says hello, Peter. Hello, Donna. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Hey, I want to thank you for we finally got together and we finally got going. I don't know. Again, it's been a couple of months since you started sending me messages. Before I really ask you about yourself and things like that, the one thing I wanted to ask you is like, why did you want to come on this show?
Why?
Yeah,
I think it was Carol, actually, your favorite lesbian.
My favorite lesbian.
That's what actually brought me to your show to begin with, because I didn't even know about you until I saw her go on your show, and it connected me up because it's all that's connected to her. So I was like, and she's always got a lot of interesting things to say, and I think she's pretty fabulous, and she's spot on a lot of it. And I was like, wow, this is great. He already is sort of in that realm of thinking. So perhaps at some point I can get on here too and talk about similar subjects. So I was like, hey, what do I have to lose, right?
Well, you were in luck, because on top of it, after I thought about it, because see, I'm not, as I told you, it's like I'm not this gay pride or alternative living lifestyle like specific talk show. I talk about everything, which is good because that's why I did talk about it. But I don't. And when you first contacted me, I'm thinking, I just did a show on that. It's like, when the hell am I gonna, I don't want to just bombard everybody week after week with, I kind of mix things up, except for my ranting. They're stuck with me when I'm ranting. But as I thought about it, and because this was back in May, I guess, when you were starting to contact me, and I thought about it, I go, well, it's Gay Pride Month, good or bad. So, okay, I'll use this as an excuse, and I'll bring you in. And we'll talk about all this stuff because, like, you may have heard earlier, I'm not so hip on giving a whole month and having to have so much celebration over this. Not me, I'm not trying to be mean, but I just could think of, yeah. So, all right. So why don't we do this real quick? Because why don't you take a minute and tell everybody who you are and why you're doing what you're doing and what you're doing, and then we'll go from there. Okay.
Okay. So my name is Vikki. I'm originally from the East Coast, and I moved to the West Coast about a year ago. And it was a couple of years ago that I started noticing that there was kind of a split occurring within the LGBT community. And what I mean by that was, so I listen to and watch a lot of politics, right? And I've always been a registered Democrat until recently. And I started hearing these things from the conservative standpoint, that there were problems in the community, notably that they were transing children and they were medicalizing children, and this stuff with the trans ideology and all that was going on, and they were involving children in it. And I thought, gosh darn it, there's got to be no way that people would do that. What are people crazy? And I didn't believe it at first. I admittedly didn't believe that people would really be doing that, but I just kept hearing about it, and I started doing some research. And after I did some research, I figured it out that there's a huge sector of the gay community and even transsexual people that are like, hey, this is really happening. We have to do something about this and stop it. And so that led me through my research to a guy named Buck Angel. And I reached out to him and said, hey, I've been watching your stuff, and I know you do a lot of interviews, and I got a story to tell you too, just about my life and the discovery that I've done about this, and that it's changed my life, realizing that this is happening. So I went on his show last September, and I became a recurring guest on his show, and then started my own. So that's kind of the gist of the background.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this, because it seems like you're really talking about trans stuff. You agree or disagree with it?
So I've done in the research that I've done and the people that I've met, I've found that, well, and let me back up just a little. The first time I ever heard about being trans or being transsexual goes back a long time. So I was a teenager. I'm 37 now. And when I was about 16, 17, I heard of it, but I understood it to be a very rare condition. And it's a medical condition where you used to need a certain criteria medically and to be evaluated properly. And the medical condition, or what they call it, is gender dysphoria. And it means that, you're so unhappy in your own body and you'd rather live your life a different way than you are currently, and it's related to your sex. Now, from that standpoint, I could see that is a possibility, but it's a rare possibility, because what's ended up happening is they've taken that criteria away, and you no longer need gender dysphoria in order to be trans, so to speak. Now it's a trendy thing. Now it's just something you can say you are, and you are that, which is the slippery slope, the self-ID aspect. So I agree with it, and I don't agree with it. I mainly do not agree with it in most cases, unless you are evaluated properly and go through the right steps. And that doesn't even exist right now in the United States, because they've taken all that away. Gender affirming care overwrites anything.
what back when I was growing up as a kid, you said like around 18 and all that. To me, there was just, we labeled it as cross dressers. I mean,
Sure.
that, why else would you want to be dressing as a woman? I mean, unless you wanted to feel like a woman, or you just had a oddity about wanting to look like a woman. But there was no trans or anything like that. It was just, and in fact, we used to make jokes. We'd call it shim, and but
Yeah.
this was like, I was a kid. Yeah. What's, it's like, but there was no trans. What's your biggest gripe about the whole trans thing? Besides, I mean, you kind of said it, but I mean, what really irks you about all this that's going on right now?
It appears that there is a attempt to some degree to almost erase or overwrite what biological women have to say about this under certain circumstances, such as trans women and women's sports, trans women in women's private spaces or bathrooms. It always seems to be trans women that seem to be invading a particular space that is always female. It's never on the other side. It's always on the trans woman side, so a biological man side, where you're beginning to see this a lot. And if you speak out against it and you say anything and say, hey, I have a question, I don't know if I'm comfortable with this, you get immediately shut down. You're immediately told that you're transphobic. You're immediately told that you're a piece of garbage for it. And you're shunned from the community at large. And I'm going, and this has happened to numerous people that I've met through the internet in real life, where it seems to be women that are suffering from this, which I find absolutely astonishing and ridiculous, considering that women have had to fight so hard just to have the things that they have, and now we have them, and biological men dressed as women are taking them away. Like, what's that about? So there's something to that. And I don't think these people are really trans. I think a lot of them are what you call onogonophiles. And onogonophiles are men who are sexually aroused by dressing like a woman. And it really has nothing to do with dysphoria. It's a kink. And you can literally do that now. They've opened the door wide open to everybody. It just doesn't matter. You have to accept everything and everyone, no matter the circumstance. So it's a very dangerous, slippery slope that we're on, and it's making good people in this community who are just trying to get by and be themselves and be left alone. Speaking, those people look bad because other people are looking in at us going, see, these people are nuts. Why did you let them get married? Why did you give them workplace rights? Why did you give them anything? They're all crazy. And that's what we're trying to fight against, is that, we're not all crazy, and that some of these people need to be weeded out, and that we have to stop it.
Well, see, this is where it comes into, like, actually, we don't have to accept everything. They just try, it's a small percentage of people that are really, I mean, what do you think the percentage is of actual trans people in the, I know what I used to know what the number is. I know it's really, really low, but do you have a number in your head from doing all this stuff?
0.05% is the number I have in my head. When that's, I'm thinking that's worldwide. So it's a very, very small percentage of people.
Okay. But
even
yet,
smaller than gays.
With the amount of screaming that you hear, it's on TV. Again, the media is just much to blame. Now, I understand that it's a rough life for anybody who wants to literally go through the hell of becoming a man or a woman, changing their gender because they truly believe it, and they're willing to go through all the ridicule and just the hatred and possibly losing your families, and it's not easy. The same thing. It's the same stuff that a lot of gay people went through back in the day and still do. Telling your parents you're gay or something like that. But I'm sick and tired. This is why I can't cut some slack, because you're gonna have to. You're right. The loudmouths are ruining this for everybody, and all of a sudden you're pansexual and you identify as a tiger. And what is a Sid? What is Sid?
A Sid?
Or Sid, something. I thought I heard
Cis?
I'm Sid. Yeah, sure.
So a cisgender person would refer to somebody who identifies with the sex they were born as, is really what it is. I'm a cisgendered lesbian. So I'm born a woman, I identify with being a woman, so I'm cis. So Same goes to you, but you're a guy. You're a cis. If you're heterosexual, you're a cis het man. I mean, it's literally the stuff they've come up with is absolutely, it's insulting, I think, to people.
This is where, again, there's so many, they're making shit up, they're pulling it out their ass, and I want to identify, and you need to, and it's like, again, you want to make believe you're an Afghan hound, go for it. But don't expect me to sit there and respect, and play along with your little reindeer games. It's like you got a screw loose. I'm sorry. It's like, go play. You're not bothering me, but don't start screaming like we have to respect this idiocy, because it never existed before. All these years, all these hundreds and tens of hundreds of years and thousands of years, and all of a sudden now we're micro dividing everybody into all these different categories. It's like, I'm just so confused. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? And if you want to like a girl, you're a married lesbian, right?
I am, yes.
Okay. How long have you been married?
I've only been married a year. We've been together for 6 years.
Okay. You're younger than me. How old are you?
I'm 37.
Okay. How old is would you go by husband or wife?
Oh, wife. We're both women. I mean,
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I've had some that it's like, that's my husband, and they just playing the roles. Okay. Some girls are really, really butch, and it's like, you can obviously see, and one's like a lipstick lesbian or whatever. It's like, okay, whatever. But again, you're not bothering me if you're not screaming and yelling or demanding my attention. But okay, so you're a married lesbian, and what is it that is reflecting off of you that is making your life really hard?
For me personally, at the moment?
Yeah, but I mean, from all this crap that's going on that is kind of ruining your game, because, from what I gather from talking to you previously, is like, you just want to live your life and just be happy.
I think that, so if you go back to what gay pride or, let's go back to same-sex marriage, right? So same-sex marriage on the federal level was passed back in 2015 when they struck down the Defense of Marriage Act, that was actually implemented by Bill Clinton, believe it or not. And it was struck down under the Obama administration, yada, yada, yada. Anyways, that basically sealed the deal about marriage equality. And for me at that time, that was the last thing that was needed to be put in place to show true equality between, straight people and gay people, having the ability to get married. So at that point, I was happy. And I said, geez, this is great. We've done it. Let's just keep an eye on it, make sure that it stays that way. And we keep our workplace rights, keep our adoption rights if we really want to do something like that. And that we're just going to walk life and that'll be that. And not everybody's going to love me, and not everybody's going to like me. And it is what it is. And I have to say, I don't want to be liked because I'm a lesbian, nor do I want to be hated because I'm a lesbian. It's really irrelevant to why you should or should not like me. Anyways, I wouldn't want somebody to just like me or love me because I'm gay, but it's become this thing now where everybody needs this validation and affirmation, and it's external validation from everybody. And I'm like, that is not that. Your strength comes from inside, and these people coming up now think that everybody else needs to tell them that they're wonderful in order for them to be successful people. And that is the wrong message to be sending to young people. And it's extremely disturbing to me. And that's what's really getting me right now more than anything, is that these young people, they think, oh, I don't want to suffer for 1 second. And sometimes a little bit of suffering and a little bit of a nosebleed, not for real, but things are going to happen in your life, and not everybody's going to like you. And it's just very disturbing that I'm finding that this is the new norm. And a lot of the people I'm finding today, they don't have any appreciation for what we do have, and they're still acting like we have nothing. And they play this victimhood. And it's putting everybody into the same bucket, because now the LGBT is corporate, right? So it's in the education system, it's in politics. All the corporations paint everything rainbow for an entire month. Like, we have all the power right now. We have everything. We're one of the most powerful, groups in the United States of America at this point. And yet all these people are sitting around screaming and yelling that everyone hates them and they don't have rights. I'm like, what are you talking talking about? So that's really what gets me, I think, the most, in a nutshell.
I just think there's too much attention being brought to this. Let's go. So you kind of touched on this, but what do you think about, because this bothers me a lot, diversity hire? Just because. Yeah. I mean, this is really a nonsensical kind of thing. Again, do you feel that diversity hire is more important than integrity and qualifications, or like, no, you need to get somebody, in there just because, like we have now?
I think that people need to be qualified for the job that they apply for. And that's really the bottom line and what actually matters. I mean, on the flip side, you don't want places deliberately discriminating against people because they're Black or because they're gay or et cetera, et cetera. Of course, we don't want that either. But now we're taking it, the pendulum has swung to the other side. And now we're saying, you don't need the qualifications. You're gay, you're cool, or you don't need the qualifications. We just need the diversity. So it went from all the way over here to all the way over there. And it's like, why can't you just hire people based on what their qualifications are and move on with your life? I don't get it.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. And the problem, like I said, if you're qualified, let's say, I'm not saying you have to, it's got to be all white people or all Black people or whatever. But if you have the qualifications, great. If you're a gender female or something and you fit the description and and you happen to and you got the qualification, but I'm not going to hire you just because we need to have a green person on this to meet the requirements of the new stupidity that has gone into process. I mean, look at our current administration. They've got people that work for them in our capital that have no business to be there and no skills, no qualifications, and we are going to hell. The guy that they had, he's been gone now, who was stealing people's luggage, women's luggage at the airport. He was in charge of nuclear waste, and then he got busted. I mean, there's so many things going on, and people are just like letting it go. It's like, this is the problem. We've just, nobody wants to say, put up a fuss, and they're just letting it all happen. And slowly we're just degrading and not to mention the generation that's coming up right now, the younger guys and girls that are just feel like everything needs to be handed to them and be just because. So and there's no rhyme or reason for any of this stuff. Throw in they're gay or I'm pansexual, and I get out of my gayborhood, and this kind of stuff, screaming and yelling at the top of their lungs, and have there's nothing there. This is the fight you're having to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah, absolutely.
All right, so your wife, and what kind of life does she lead? I mean, what's her complaints, or if any? You guys both on the same page, or does she have different issues that are going on, or whatever?
I mean, so she's been an engineer for most of her life. So she's been sort of in a man's world, let's say, for a long time, a woman in a man's world primarily. And so she comes to the table. She's a little bit older than me. She's 53. And she comes to the table with a bit more experience as far as some of the stuff that's gone on in her life. She grew up in a small town. And, of course, back then being gay was like unheard of or just weird to people. So there was that. And then she took on a livelihood that was primarily men, at least at that time. That's changed quite a bit over the years. I think that she's a very, live and let live kind of person for the most part. And I think that some of the things that I've done on YouTube and some of the research I've been involved in has opened her eyes to some of what's been going on. I think she was just completely unaware and kind of not paying attention and just kind of going along for some of this. And so, there's been times where I'm like, honey, you got to see this. This is insane. Like, where do I tell you this story about this person or this thing or these people that I talk to? So she's kind of not, she doesn't want to. I really want to dig in and talk to people about it. Where she's kind of like, you know what, I'm happy. I'm just gonna go over here and be happy with my wife. So but like I said, she's live and let live.
Okay, so what kind of trains does she drive?
I'm sorry?
Trains. You said she's an engineer. What kind of does she work for Amtrak or?
She works in a semiconductor industry.
Oh, so she's a conductor engineer.
No, like microchips. Computer. Oh, Peter.
All right. The jokes are free. Anyway, I mean, engineer. Now, let's talk about diversity as an engineer. It's like, number one, it's like, is she Indian?
No.
Oh, well, then she had to get hired because everybody, every again. Now I'm going to catch all kinds of hell. It's the truth, though. I know everybody I ever meet, they're engineers and they're Indian because I guess it's trendy. You know, they just grew up to be engineers. But okay, so she's not a train conductor or anything like that. She's into conductors and all that. Just wanted to get it straight for some of my people. Well, look. Oh, Peter, I hear that a lot. I think a lot of people, Vikki, that in most cases that just want to live. You want you don't want to be bothered. You're not looking like, oh, look at us, we're gay, or you don't want to be. You know, when you guys go out, it's not like you're sitting there smashing, trash cans to like make sure you're paying attention to us, and you need some kind of special attention, right?
Nope. People figure that out on their own, and when they don't figure it out, I don't really care. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I get it. What do you feel about, there's all this gay pride parades and all this kind of stuff, and a lot of people bring their children and little kids, and I don't mind the parades, but you have the people that are part of the whole thing. They're the real high end not nut jobs, but they want to be half naked parading around and, putting on their Daisy Dukes or and stuff. I don't even know how to put this, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, they really bring out the gay and gay. And some of these guys, these guys, I mean, they're walking around naked. I've had videos of they're at these parades, or they have a loincloth or something like that. And it's like kids are just like looking and they're in awe, and the parents are just letting, it's like, it's just normal stuff. I mean, you think that's normal stuff? I mean, if you're gonna have a gay pride parade, you have a pride parade with people waving and having floats and talking about awareness and beautiful and being loved in life, and that's it. But you got the ones that are really over the top. Look at that one that went to the White House and it was a trans guy and he flashed his boobs. It's like, there's the problem with what's going on.
That was I mean, the outrage from the normal LGBT people was pretty high after that. And it was like everybody's looking at President Biden like, did you even know who you brought in here? Same thing. They brought Dylan Mulvaney.
They don't have a clue.
The Budweiser person on to talk about gender affirming care and talk about how children should be able to transition. And meanwhile, you're letting children transition and they don't really understand what that means. The children are actually being sterilized. Okay. They put them on what's called puberty blockers so that your puberty is blocked before as your body's trying to grow. It's a drug called Lupron. And they used to give Lupron to pedophiles to chemically castrate them. And it is the same medication that they're giving to children in the United States and calling it gender affirming care. Okay. Because they might think they're trans and might want to transition. And they frame it as if your puberty is being paused. They use the word paused, right?
Yeah.
You're just pausing puberty. You're stopping it and blocking it from happening, which is a fundamental part of a human being growing into a human adult. And this is actually happening in the United States. And they're trying to normalize that. And all the repercussions for doing that mean you could be sterilized. It means you'll never have an orgasm. You'll never have a sex life when you do become an adult. And you're taking things away from a child that they cannot consent to. Children cannot consent. And that is the bottom line with this. And they try to put forward, well, these children are going to commit suicide if you don't do it. Where really there are not many statistics that support that, first of all. And secondly, not only are there not statistics, but if your child is feeling suicidal, you need to get them professional help immediately, not in the form of sending them to a gender psychologist or a gender doctor. You know, children should not feel suicidal or feel like they want to kill themselves. There's a deeper problem going on there if that's the case. And it's this very serious thing. And you should never run to trans your child. Like, are we out of our minds that we let this happen? The Jazz Jennings thing, all that, we let all that happen right in front of us. And nobody said a word.
No, it's sinful what's going on. And again, psychologists, you're trusting somebody, especially all these pro-trans psychologists now. They're pushing the whole deal, you know, and you're trusting these people. And then I don't think any child, I mean, I even question myself at my age, you know, making decisions, you know, and it's like, I don't care how much they may think they want to do something at 8 years old, 12 years old, 16 years old, 25 years old. It's like, you really, when you look back at your life and you're going, God, I've done some stupid shit in my life, you know, and live to tell about it. But when you're messing with medical and changing yourself just because you're going through a phase, I mean, hell, what little kid and a boy hasn't worn his mommy's shoes walking around the house or something like that? They don't even know what they're doing. It's play. You know?
Play, and they're taking gender stereotypes and making that what's trans, which I find fascinating, because what the gay community has tried to say for years is that we don't want to be stereotyped. We don't want to be labeled. Just leave us alone. And now these trans trenders are turning around and pulling it back and saying, oh, a little boy likes pink and likes to play with girly things, they must be trans. And I'm like, this is nuts. You people are freaking crazy. Like, just stop it. And then because I'm sitting here saying this, I'm a piece of shit, I'm a bad person, I'm transphobic, I'm, you know, all these things. I've been called a self-hating queer for coming out and talking about this, which is another thing, that this whole queer business, everybody's queer now. Nobody ever said that that was okay to normalize that freaking word. That's always been a slur. And now all of a sudden it's cool to say and everybody's queer. And to me, there's no more self-hating thing that you can do than refer to yourself and other people around you as queer. Yet I'm the self-hating one. So I find that very interesting. It has become like a cult in some respects. And if you are not lockstep with everything that these people are saying, you are ostracized and you are shunned. And that's really problematic and troublesome and disturbing. And I mean, I could go on for hours.
They've made it, it's a very fine line between clever and stupid nowadays. It's just, I think, and kids are so influenceable, you know, you can easily persuade kids and, you know, to make things like it's okay. It's like, you know, just like drug addiction, there used to be commercials like, here, try one, all your friends are doing it. And, you know, and again, I knew growing up, again, I grew up in my mid-teens and things like that, in sneaking into a gay bar. I've talked about it many times because we were able to get in. And then that's what introduced me to, I started, you know, seeing all this stuff. But I'll tell you, I was never gay. I just know I'm not gay. I know I became friends with some of these people, drag queens that worked in the thing. But I was never gay. If I was gay, I would have gone that direction. But the thing is, there's not a, there's the, I'm not gonna make that. There's not a hinkling of me wanting to be gay. It's just nothing bad about it, nothing wrong with it. It's just I'm not gay. And for those who are, okay, you are. But in other words, I just can't make believe that I'm gay. But yet you got a lot of people that are very, you know, they'll do stupid shit. They'll do things that they, you know, just to do things, and they're ruining it. They're ruining it for people like you, as you said. They're and the whole LGBT community who are normal, who fought to be normal and just be left alone to live. And now every time something goes wrong, it basically goes back onto you guys, because it brings in just the roundabout word of being gay. It's all grouped together because a lot of people can't disassociate all this stuff. It's too confusing. Just gay.
It's gotten ridiculous, to be perfectly honest. I mean, so the L is lesbian, the G is gay, the B is bi, the T is trans, LGBT. Q used to be questioning, and then at some point it changed to queer, which again, I have a huge problem with that. I think it's freaking weird. That's a whole other rabbit hole we could go down. So LGBTQI, I is intersex, and intersex got woven into this, I think, from these trans people trying to prove themselves and prove that trans is a real thing. And so they roped in intersex people into the conversation, even though I think most intersex people really don't want anything to do with this. And that's a I don't know if I should call it a birth defect, but intersex is a totally separate, irrelevant thing to the rest of this situation. And somehow that's on the list now. So LGBTQI and A is asexual. So that means you don't have a sexuality. So I'm like, why is that a thing?
Yeah,
and then there's plus, and I don't even ask me what the plus is. Plus means let's just keep inviting everyone in. So we're so inclusive that we're no longer inclusive. It's just gotten ridiculous. And it used to just be about sexual orientation. And that was what it was about for many, many moons. I have older friends like Carol that can it can tell you that that's mostly what it's always been about. Occasionally there might have been a trans person that came into the mix, but I think the trans stuff got popular after the same-sex marriage became legalized. You know, Human Rights Campaign, GLAAD, these big organizations that were backing us at the time for us to establish those rights, you know, they were kind of supposed to just pack their bags and go home after we, or for the most part, right? But they didn't, because they have all these people to pay and these seats to fill and office jobs to, it's all about money and keeping jobs and keeping the donations flowing. So they picked another, another topic to say, oh, this is a problem, when it really wasn't a problem, right? And I have to admit that I fell for that in the beginning, because I was coming off that high, right? Of yes, we have marriage rights. Yes, yes, yes. And I was there on the steps of, in Albany at the Capitol when they passed it in New York. This is before it went federal. But when they passed it in New York State, where I originally lived, I was there that day and that evening. And it was a wonderful, beautiful thing, because it was about peace and love. And so that's where I always came from with all of this. So then when I started hearing that they were picking on the trans people, I thought, well, geez, I maybe I should help these people out. What are they doing? And it just comes down to listening to bullshit, is what I came to realize, is that I'm not saying that no one's ever been discriminated against in the trans community, but what I'm saying is that they used that to continue this human rights campaign thing that's a multi-billion-dollar business now.
There you go, right there. You just hit it on the head the second time. Money. Mm-hmm. It's all about money. And so many of these avenues of what's going on in our world right now, climate change, all this kind of stuff. I can go, believe me, when I wait till I get a show on climate change, it's all about money and grabbing money and everybody getting rich that in those little genres and pockets. And again, it's like they just keep making shit up as they go along, and we're expected to just buy into this and accept it all. I don't have to accept it all. They're pretty much right. Common sense. And I'm at the point I told you, it's like there's some people that you just want to look dead in the face and tell them you're fucking stupid. It's that simple, I mean, I don't like being mean, but there's a point in life where you just have to stop being silent, stop worrying about hurting anybody's feelings, because they're just fucking stupid. Mm-hmm. End the nonsense. Because even for the trans people, they're ruining it for the true trans people, the ones who have to fight, the ones going through the hell, all because they're all got their own agendas and their own issues, and they're ruining it for everybody.
They are. And, Buck Angel, the show that I've been on, a few times, he's a biological woman, and he says, I'm a biological woman. I got, woman parts downstairs, and that's who I am. And if you know anything about Buck Angel, he's got, you know, an interesting past and has done a lot of things in his life. And, you know, by no means is a perfect human being, but at the end of the day, he's looking back on some of this and going, whoa, wait a minute, pump the brakes. This stuff about the trans kids and the way they're taking advantage of these people coming into the community claiming they're trans when they're not. And he's the first one to say, you don't want to be like me. You do not want this medical condition. It freaking sucks. This isn't
easy.
cool. It's not easy. It's not fun. He's medicalized. He had vaginal atrophy from the testosterone he was taking. He almost died from it. And, you know, he was like the guinea pig. He was the one that, and I refer to him as he, because if you see what he looks like, he absolutely looks like a man, you know? So I go by what I see, you know? And to me, he looks like a dude. So I'm going to call him he, and I have a lot of respect for him too. So I'm going to continue to do that regardless of, you know, because people like to criticize that as well and say, well, you should always refer to them as what their real actual pronouns are based on how they were born. And, you know, to me, that's splicing hairs sometimes. You can't, not everything is always the way you want it to be. I understand where some of those people are coming from because they think that changing language is the gateway to hell here. But, you know, again, I feel like I'm ranting, but
Okay. Look, wait, I don't want to cut, because I'll forget what I'm going to ask you. I didn't know who Buck Angel was until you, like, you know, hey, I was on the Buck Angel show, and I'm thinking, who the hell is Buck Owens? You know, and I wasn't thinking, you know, and I know, and so I went and I looked, and that person, I mean, the facial hair and everything, he looks like a man. I mean, the voice is a little bit different, but holy crap, I'm thinking, what did it take to look like that? I didn't even think it's possible. You know, he's got a better beard than I could grow. And what hell did he have to go through? Or it's like, I would really like to see the before and after, and then what it took to be that. And did it really make you happy, or is it just kind of filling in the hole? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, from what he's spoke about on his channel and any conversations that I've had with him personally, it was the best thing for him in his situation. And he tried to live, actually, he lived as a lesbian for the first 30 years of his life. So, you know, until he was 30 years old, he did not go down the road of transitioning. He's in his 60s now. So he lived as a woman for, you know, quite a while. Well enough into adulthood, and said, you know, this isn't working for me, and I feel awful. And he went to a psychologist, and it's this big long thing, you know, and it took a while. It took years to figure out that that's what he felt was the right choice. But again, he was kind of the guinea pig, because nobody knew what was going to happen when you start putting testosterone into a biological woman's body. And there comes some repercussions to that. And he still doesn't know. I mean, he's really super healthy, and I think he, you know, tries to take care of himself. But, you know, we still don't know. You know, it can't all be rainbows and sunshine, of course. But I think overall, he's very much happier with his life now than he was before. And it's a risk, in a sense, that he took.
Yeah, you're messing with Mother Nature. And but honestly, if I was sitting at a bar next to Buck Angel, you would have fooled the living shit out of me, because normally you got guys dressing up as women, you know, and it's like you don't see as many. I mean, you'll see butch lesbians, plenty of that around, you know. It's like it's pretty much identifying. I mean, short haircuts, you know, just dressing the part. But a trans man, you know, woman going as a man with, I mean, I would have never figured the difference. And, you know, just if you didn't tell me, I would say, get out of here. So that takes commitment. You really have to want to go through all that. And those are the ones that are getting, you know, I think are feeling the pain the most, because you got all the idiots ruining it for people who are the true blue. Look, I just got to do this. You may never understand, you know, but I got to do this for myself.
Right. And it, like you were saying, that, you know, it takes a lot of commitment, and I've actually learned a lot from speaking to him and then other trans people that I've met after that really do feel this way, and it's a big deal to them. And I feel sorry for a lot of what's happening in this world right now with the trans stuff, because they're all getting thrown under the bus. And I don't think that's fair either. But women are getting thrown under the bus too. This stuff with trans women and women's sports and Buck and other people I know, they don't agree with any of that. They're like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, sorry, but it's not right.
I blame this on these organizations who are too scared that they're going to offend somebody. They should have stopped these men from competing in women's sports right at the very okay, you want to be a woman, but you can't play with women. It's just that simple. It's like, and screw it. I think they're starting to catch on, but everybody, just like, I noticed it more with like on LinkedIn, which is a platform that I belong on because it's kind of business oriented, and I do this I got a lot of TV people and things on there. And I noticed when the trend started with, putting your pronouns, he, him, she, her, and then everybody jumped on board, and I'm going,
I remember that.
Yeah, and I'm looking at it going, I'm going to wait a while. I'm going to wait.
I never did it.
And neither did I. But years later, I still see these pronouns on there. Now, it's one of two things. Either they got lazy and they never changed it back, or they bought into the whole program and, they're that kind of, they're that person. I'm not saying they're bad, but they're just hook, line, and sinker, playing the game because it's the thing to do. And so they follow the protocol, which is stupid.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like, if somebody asked me what my pronouns were, I mean, I'd be a little annoyed because I think it's pretty obvious that I'm a woman. You know what I mean? And it same goes for people like Buck Angel. Like, I mean, obviously he was trying to pull off being a guy. So, I'm pretty sure that's what he wants to be called. Yeah. But they started throwing in all these other pronouns and all this other garbage that's falls outside of him and her. And it's like, and that's confusing as hell. That's the other thing is it's confusing people. So when you start confusing people, then that leads to upsetting people, which leads to angering people. And then these people turn around and say, see, look, you're so mean and awful. They're just gaslighting the shit out of everybody all day.
Yeah. Well, again, the stupidity cup floweth over when they start adding all this stuff and just making up things as we go along, and just because somebody wants to be different than the other one. And I mean, non-gender, it's like, Stevie Wonder can see this, it's stupid. It's just stupid. You don't want to, you have a gender, whether you choose to use it or not, it's another story, but you have a gender. It's real simple. I mean, it's black and white. It's very, very simple, but we're allowing these people going, okay, if that's really how you feel, then okay, we're going to figure out a way to make you non-gender, and play your little game. It's like, they need a good swift kick in the ass. It's like, grow up, stop your little whining. You're a boy or you're a girl, and that's it. You don't want to participate. Don't. It's real simple. Don't, but stop the bullshit. And that's where I get aggravated. Too many games going on, and people just trying not to offend everybody. I don't want to bother them. So it has become a game, and even people with I think I mentioned earlier, people that are part of the community. I've started to say it out loud. I don't want to be a part of this community anymore. I don't want to be associated with this anymore because of how scary it's gotten, how it's like Marxism and total authoritarian thinking about, you must think like this, you must do things like that, you must do fill in the blank, and if you don't, there are consequences. And you're like, what the hell did I just walk in on? So all these tolerant and loving, the tolerant and loving left really isn't so tolerant and loving. So I've distanced myself from a lot of it. In the Pride Parade stuff, like, I don't even really care that much anymore about it. When I was younger, it was neat to me because it was, when you're young, especially when I was 18 or so, there were still some issues with the gay stuff, and not all laws have been passed, and we were still not quite there yet. So for me, I looked at it and said, wow, these people are going and they're marching and parading like they have since the 70s, and they're still trying to get all their rights. And I thought, well, that's great, and let's do this. That's what it was for.
in my mind. Now I'm not really sure what it's for and why there needs to be an entire month dedicated to it, because not only is there a month, Peter, there are other days, many other days on the calendar throughout the day, throughout the year, that are reserved for trans this and trans that and all these different things.
Every day.
Yeah, it's basically, it's constant. And that's another thing that's ticking people off. It's like, would you stop? Like, it actually, I used to get mad when people would say, oh, you're shoving the gay stuff down people's throats. They used to say that back when it wasn't really happening. But now it's actually happening, and now they're actually right about it. And that's what makes me cringe.
I want to know who's putting this stuff on the calendar. I mean, everything from National Hot Dog Day. I mean, every day, if you really look, there's some kind of national bullshit day. Now, there's something going on. I mean, there really is. I want to know who's putting it on there and getting away with it, and it's sticking. And right. Every day, National Secretary Day, National this, National that, National, Love Your Dog Poop Day. I mean, it's just dumb.
Right.
But again, we can go on. It all boils down to the stupidity of the whole deal and people allowing it to happen. And that's the problem. We're allowing this stuff it's gotten way out of hand. Trying to be nice and understanding has now gone way over the top and way too far. Is there anything like a certain issue that's really, really under your skin? I mean, from everything that you're doing, I mean, you started this podcast. What is really, if you said, I want to do this issue because to me, it is like one of the biggest, most problem-esque issues, what would it be?
Well, aside from the kids transitioning and not going down that path and waiting until you're older to, figure that kind of stuff out, I've also started to see these autogynephile types infiltrate in further. And what I mean by that is I'm seeing things now where, so this person, there's people that claim that they're trans and they want to live as a woman and all this and that. Okay, fine. Okay. Then they're having children by, I don't know what means. I don't know if they're adopting. I don't know, I don't know exactly. But then they're now saying that there is a way for these people to breastfeed. And they're wanting to call it, they're trying to change the language, right? So I don't have a vagina anymore. I have a frontal. I don't breastfeed anymore as a mother. I'm a chest feeder. Okay. This is the kind of shit that they're pulling. And this is even the sickest part, and this is the most shocking part. And I'm sure your viewers are going to be like, this woman's crazy. There's no way this is happening, but it is. Check it out. Just do a few searches and you'll find it. They're giving themselves certain hormones to allow themselves to begin lactation of some kind, or there's a hormone that induces that or starts that, right?
Does it work?
It depends on how much how long and what you're doing, but the breast milk, it's all just chemicals essentially. Because when women breastfeed, part of that whole process occurs after you give birth. It's the cycle of how life just naturally occurs, and they're doing these things artificially. And there are doctors out there that are saying that it's okay, and that it's just as healthy as getting the milk from the shelf at the store.
Yeah.
And I think to myself, okay, even if it isn't dangerous, which we don't know, we don't have the real freaking data to know that. Come on, we don't know. We don't know what's gonna happen to those children long term, if they're gonna have like problems or whatever because they're a man breastfed them artificially with pumping themselves with hormones. Okay, we don't know. The verdict's still out on that. But the bottom line for me is, just because you can do something, should you be doing it?
No. Yeah.
Why are you doing it?
A lot of women can't even breastfeed. I mean, so it's a kink thing, or is it a predator type thing? I mean, there's all the fetish. I mean, there's something weird. It's not normal. It's not normal.
No, it's not normal, and they're using babies.
Yeah,
like it's infuriating. It makes my skin crawl. to think that this stuff is happening and people are, oh, yay, good for you.
I didn't
I'm
have
so
to.
happy. You're so happy. Trans joy. And I'm going, no, 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 no. This is some pedophilic, weird shit.
Yeah.
Stay away from kids.
Because I had a child, I didn't have to breastfeed her to love her. You know, it's real simple. There was no desire in my mind. Same thing like being gay. There wasn't a hair in my body that said, I wish I could breastfeed her. You know, it just wasn't. So this is where the psychomatic, stupidity comes in, and something's really weird wrong. And again, we're buying into this crap. And then there's doctors that need to make car payments, and they go, oh, it's perfectly safe because the pharmaceutical rep told me it was, because they don't even do their own research anymore. Most doctors, I hate to say it, have become pharmacists. They're not really even doing what they used to do because they're under pressure. They got so many minutes. The insurance companies, the business end of being a doctor sucks, doesn't pay to be a doctor anymore, and they can't do their jobs properly. And therefore, the whole cycle is upside down and a freaking mess.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let me ask you this, and then we're going to start telling everybody how they can find you, because time is flying. Okay, so would you say you're 30 what now?
37.
37. Okay, so when did you figure out that you were gay, or that men weren't on the menu? Did you date? I mean, was it from childhood? Was it in your 20s? What's going on?
Well, my answer is going to be like what a lot of people say, because I think as an adult, you look back on your childhood and you say, yep, there was something different about me, So I would say in the onset of puberty, I started to see that I liked women, right? But I didn't really make the connection totally. And I was a pretty precocious kid, and I knew pretty young, but I didn't fully know, So as I grew up and got into my teen years, got, to adult age, I mean, the first people I ever dated actually were girls in high school. I dated women before I dated guys, really, when you look at it seriously dated. And I dated a couple of guys in between the ages of 18 and 20. And it just never felt totally right. And I always felt like I was doing them wrong because I was like, I'm not into this, And so I really never looked back after the age of 20, honestly. And I've never really had a desire any other way.
Okay. I get it. I just wanted to know on your end, because look, back when I was 16, 17, and we snuck into this gay bar and continued going on the weekends because we could get in, I got to know somebody, and he was a sweet guy. I mean, he was a nice guy, and he explained it to me the way he felt. He said, and it always stuck with me, because this is how I've understood and accepted everything. He says, what if you were born with a male body, but somehow, with genes, the gene pool got a little bit messed up, and you're born looking like a male, you walk like a male, you talk like a male, but there's something inside that just makes you feel like, you're a girl, or you like guys, or however it is. And there's all kinds of things. I don't want to say birth defects, but I mean, I contribute, to the same thing. There's people that are born with birth defects because things got hormonal mixed up, or and the balance got interchanged, and that's the way I look at it. It's like, I don't consider it a birth defect. I was just using that as an example. Like, things can happen because it's science, or a miracle, if you ask me. But okay, so, and he said, I just don't feel like I'm a man. I'm a man, but I like men, and I left it at that and never forgot that. And
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think? How else would you explain it? Because there are people that'll say it's impossible. You just being gay because you up here want to be gay. That doesn't work.
It's interesting because I've talked to, people come from religious standpoints on this stuff. They come from psychological standpoints on this stuff. And I've heard a lot of different things. And I've even explored it myself, wondering, well, geez, how did I get like this? What does this mean? And is it really, am I harming something? Is there something wrong with me? I mean, I went through all of those things, as a lot of gay people do. And I have, once you, obtain the confidence around who you are. And that's the thing. That's the message. It's like, if you really think you're trans, then okay, go do what you need to do and be trans, right? And I'm finding that these people are not really that confident in what they're doing, which is why they need that external validation so badly. I never needed external validation for my sexual orientation. I really didn't. I was like, yep, this is who I am. I like women. Get over yourself. And believe me, I can tell you stories of people being complete assholes to me about it back when in my teen years anyways. And I didn't have all the tools back then to defend myself. Like I do now, you know, and by tools these days, I just walk away. I mean, it's just not even, I don't even get harassed. That doesn't even happen to me now. It just doesn't.
But Vikki, the thing is, but you know, deep down inside, you just said you were with men and it just wasn't happening. This wasn't some conscious like, hey, you know what? I just want to like cows. You know, I want to be cow sexual. You know, it's like, you know, moo moo buckaroo. You know, it's like you didn't just do that. It came from within. Yeah, I know. I went there. I just, again, I'm trying to keep it lighthearted because it's not, I don't think the real people I don't think it comes from deep down, just like the way I know I am not gay. I could never be gay. You're the same way. You are gay. You could never be straight. It didn't work. So something got mixed in, interchanged somehow. It's not like you need some Jesus in you. You know, it's not going to fix it.
Yeah, I already have Jesus in me anyway,
well,
so
I get it. But you know how look, you say some of these Christian religions, they go, we got to get him to church, and you try as hard as they try. You mentally try, but deep down within, you could try all you want. It's still there. You are who you are at the end of the day, except for all the idiots, all the ones who make up all the shit. So, you know. Sure. All right, so you are who you are, and why don't you tell everybody a little bit about, you just started your podcast, but I mean, do you have any kind of have you started on a schedule or anything? Are you putting things out yet? And how, what are you going to be talking about? Because we got to go here soon.
So I have done several interviews. One of them in particular was with this trans woman. Her name is Jessica Gill. She's fabulous. She has done a Jubilee debate on YouTube. If you look up Jubilee, you'll find her, and she has her own channel as well. I did an interview with her, and she is a conservative trans woman who is also, a Trump supporter, the whole nine yards, which is fascinating because you don't see that as often, at least in the mainstream. And she is in the fight for saving women's sports and keeping trans women out of women's sports. I did an interview with her. We're actually going to do a reaction video together coming up here soon. That's the latest that I have coming up. I have some other interviews too. I did one with a late in life lesbian who I interviewed about how when she came out in her 40s, 2 or 3 years ago, she was bullied relentlessly by people in lesbian groups who claimed that they were lesbians, and it turned out they were trans women, which makes them not lesbians. Sorry, folks, but they're just biological men cosplaying as a lesbian. And how she was shunned and bullied relentlessly, and she didn't know what to do because she's like, I just want to meet some women that like women, and you're telling me you're a trans woman. I'm not into that. So I did an interview with her as well. And a few others on my YouTube channel. And I also release a lot of content and different things happening in the LGBT community and political stuff as well over on my Instagram. So that's what's on the docket for now. I'll probably be back on the Buck Angel show as well. I had a long interview with Buck. That was the first one I did, and then we did a couple of reaction videos together as well. So you can look through that to find me there as well. But that's what's up.
Okay, so basically, I mean, you started a YouTube channel. So if you want to find Vikki, you can go to YouTube and you can go to find Voices with Vikki, right? That's what it's under on YouTube.
Yep, Voices with Vikki. And if anybody out there has a story that they want to talk about, even if it's not LGBT related specifically, I'm willing to do that. I did one actually with somebody I know who lost their mother, and we did a thing on grief and loss and how it's a topic that's not talked about enough. So I would like to go into other things as well, but primarily we're doing the LGBT.
I talked about that a lot because a lot of people, you love your parents. I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, it's part of life. But okay, so anybody wanting to find Vikki, go to YouTube, hit the subscribe button, help her out. She's just starting out with this whole thing. Are you going to try doing this on a weekly schedule, or are you doing it when you can? What is your goals for this whole deal?
Well, I work full time right now, and
Yeah.
so I try to do maybe one a week. I'd like to amp it up more. I think as I get the hang of things, it'll be probably a little more consistent. That's the goal, is to do things several times a week, and to build some kind of audience and build a little bit of a community. Maybe do some live streams as well, to get people engaged.
Right. Look, if you can keep up one a week, that's a lot right there. Trust me, I know. But again, you do what you can. I mean, again, I tell you, consistency is the key. And from that point on, it's up to everybody else. But support is what I'm telling everybody. I mean, if they want to hear the things that you talk about, and this is the place to go, and it's a good start. The biggest thing I want to thank you, because I believe me when I tell you, your persistence, or like you kind of were hitting me on every platform you could find me on. I can't all the time read comments, but it did go through, and here you are today. And I totally understand that, because I'm still chasing people that same way. And people, it's taken me, there's some people I've had on my show that's taken me 2 years, and they go, you're really persistent. And I'm going, you never said no. If you said no, I would have said, okay, he said no, or she said no. But if you didn't say no, I assume that you not seeing things, because sometimes you don't know how to get a hold of people. But there's times when there's so many comments. I quit reading a lot of comments, as we talked about earlier. Just too many. You just quit worrying about it. But you got through. Everything happens for a reason. Here you are. So now you were on the Buck Angel Show and the Peter G Show. So for what it's worth, you did two ends of the gamut. Right there.
Yeah. Got a double whammy.
So I thank you for, again, we finally got it together. I know you've been traveling, and you had some things in your personal life you're having to go through and all that. Again, life's a bitch. If you survive, you do make the best you can out of it. But you made it. You did it. Done. It's in the can, and we'll go on from there. And who knows? Maybe we'll do this again sometime, talking about something else. I think we said about talking about regular life. We were talking about something.
Just dysfunctional families.
Right up my alley. I love talking about that stuff. So it's all good. All right, last look. Everybody, take a wave to everybody. Get a hold of Vikki. Go to YouTube. Hit her subscribe button, please. Help her out. She's also on Instagram. She does a lot of stuff on there too. And, you got to start somewhere, and it all starts with one. And believe me, again, I know that too. 1, 2. So I thank you again for taking the time. I know we've had a lot of communication these past couple of weeks trying to make this work, and it was even iffy up until we got to this point, but we made it. So thank you. I love you for doing it. And for taking the time. We are now friends. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's
absolutely.
It. All right. Last look. I give them the big picture. Vikki, right there. Go support her. Go hit the like, subscribe button on her Instagram and on her YouTube. And I think you said you're starting a Facebook channel too. Is that true?
Yes, I am. Yep.
Okay. Well, I live on Facebook, and it might be considered old people platform, but old people have problems too, and understand things more. And I think it's still a very crucial platform to be on. So again, thank you, and we'll talk to you soon. All right.
Thanks, Peter. I appreciate it.
Talk to you. Bye. Uno momento. Oh. Woo. See? Certain things you have to... I consider every show some form of education. I do. If you're a homophobe... And believe me, I still know people, and it's like, I'm into that gay shit. It's like, little by little, you don't just jump down their throats. And if some people will go to their graves being the way they are, and that's just the way it is. You can't win them all. But it's shows like this You know, if you were to bump into Vikki on the street, it's like there's no, you know, she's not out there being flamboyant and in your face about respect me, flying the flag, whatever. She's just a person who has a sexual preference, who wants to live life and be happy. Simple. Just like me. I want to live life, I have a sexual preference, and I want to be happy. Hi, my name is Peter G. You're watching Life with Peter G, the Peter G Show, every Wednesday like clockwork, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. on the East Coast. God willing. I want to thank you for watching the show. Please, please don't forget, next week, I'll be raising hell again. I got a lot to talk about, especially the debates are tomorrow night, and I'm sure I'm going to have a ball with that one. So we're going to be talking about things. You're going to either love me or hate me. As long as you watch, I'm good. Once again, you can't please everybody, and I have a lot of people that are very close to me that I see posts that they post, and I'm saying, I don't know what kind of pot it is that you're smoking, but that shit is too strong, and you need to stop, because I don't understand what the hell, unless you're doing something else, but something needs to get leveled out, because I don't understand where you're coming from, but I still love you. Maybe we could work this out, or maybe you can explain it to me. And that's why I do this show. So maybe we all can learn something. All right. Don't forget, last chance. Go to Vikki's YouTube, give her a little click, subscribe. One at a time. Believe me, I know the struggle. I think I've been doing this show now for 140 years. Something like that. 143, something like that. It's a bitch, but somebody's got to do it. Hi, my name is Peter. All right. Again, subscribe to the Peter G Show channel. Got to fight the YouTube people at their own game. We're on all the different platforms. Facebook's like, share. Sharing is caring. All right, folks? And for those of you who want to watch the show, and I know there's plenty of people that go, Peter, I want to watch your show, but I got to get up at 4 a.m. or whatever. Put an earbud in your ear. Google Peter G Show podcast and find the audio version. Take it with you while you're driving to work or while you're working. You know, if you're doing landscaping or whatever, you can listen to the show while you're working. God knows I'm always listening to something, or whether it's music or even my own shows, to see what the hell I'm talking about and make sure that we are, running a good steady line of entertainment with a purpose. All right. Lastly, be kind. I tell you this every single week, and I can't ever say it enough, because it's really important. Life is really busy. Life is really stressful. A lot of money issues going on. They've got us. They backed a lot of us into corners, and a lot of shit is going south. And it makes things harder for you to breathe, to deal with, and you start getting it up to here. Take a deep breath. It's temporary, I hope. Think before you speak. And you don't have to be an ass. You don't have to take a lot of shit from people, but you don't have to be an ass. Be kind. Life is so short. I'm watching time fly faster. I mean, it seems like when we were younger, everything was an eternity. Summer was an eternity. Now the years are just flying by. I'm trying to make the best of it, but it's hard, because I'm keep on trying to reach for higher, elevation. Going for things that I really want to make a difference for you. And for me, and for the people that are in our, that are surrounding us. All right. I love you guys. And again, my name is Peter G. Thank you for watching Life with Peter G, the Peter G Show. As always, I love you guys. Peace out.
Peter G Show, Peter G Show. Divorced dad, single dad, divorced dad, single dad. Peter G Show.